Well, I hope you enjoyed the day off yesterday. It was sad to not see you all. Anyone try the lead re-engagement framework? It was basically that four-step process where we acknowledge the last time we contacted, mention why they came to mind. Some of my favorites was doing work for a different client, pulling showings for a different client, meeting a client here, or made me think of you, maybe think of our conversation, maybe think about that time we met at an open house in the same neighborhood, adding an insight or maybe an opportunity. We talked on Tuesday about fear of missing out, that curiosity factor of, well, what's that great deal? What's that off-market property? What's that awesome loan program? Leading with something there, wanted you to have it, or an insight, wanted you to know this is what I'm seeing in the market. I realize it's been a while since we spoke. And then the PS is, by the way, anything new with your real estate life? Any thoughts about making the move this year? And whether you've been out of touch for 3 weeks or 3 years, that framework is a very steady way to get those people talking to you again. So to recap, reach out, acknowledge, mention why they came to mind, give them some insight or opportunity, and oh, by the way, anything new with real estate. The PS of every email, whether it's figuratively or literally, the ask should come last. Framed differently, if you mention it, let's say here's a tactic we'll talk about today a little bit, but I'll just spoil it. You have open house. If you're doing an open house and you have open house leads coming in, typically agents start with, where are you coming from? What brings you in today? Are you a neighbor? Please sign in. These are common things, right? What do they all have in common though? Take, 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 take. I'm asking you of something. I'm asking for information from you. I'm asking you to sign in for me. I'm asking you a question. That is the least effective approach when you start a conversation with a lead or prospect. The most effective thing you can do is to give them something and then, oh, by the way, ask. That could look like, would you like a bottle of water? Would you like a brochure? Would you like anything other than signing in? So if you give something first, especially if it's something of any type of value, people will respond and say, if when the ask comes, at least they have a little bit of reciprocity built in. You're not just asking straight away. And so in our lead follow-up, the way we talk to our prospects, obviously the reason you're reaching out is that you would like to help them with the real estate need. That's obvious to them too, by the way. So if we lead with checking in, anything new, how's it been going? What's the latest? Are you still in the market? It's just like going straight for the kill. I'd like you to flip that around and make them think that you're thinking of them. You're giving them something of value. They didn't ask for it, but you're giving it because you're their real estate resource. Like I said, that's an insight. That's an off-market opportunity. That's a great loan program, a cool thing happening. I was in a sales meeting this week and a vendor talked to the group, and I thought they have a really good service for preparing your home for market. I mean, anything is better than nothing. Oh, by the way, what's the latest with real estate? Anything new going on there? Much higher probability they'll respond in kind and answer your question. So anyhow, the point I'm making here is the give first, lead with giving tactics work extremely well when it comes to your lead generation. And the framework we talked about on Tuesday is designed to give you that. Well, I just spent 5 minutes on a topic that was coming 30 minutes from now. Before I go any further, how we doing? Anyone have any questions? Need anything? Drop it in the chat. Kelsey's here monitoring. Hello, Kelsey.
There's one in the chat that just popped up.
What do we got? Let's see. The one thing you said Monday, do not expect your past clients and sphere of influence to support your growth in business. With being told to build a referral-based business, I have always thought that is where my business should come from. Then where do you think we should be leaning to find new clients in? This maybe makes me a little bit controversial as a business coach, but I've also been in your shoes for the past 20 years and sold a lot of real estate. I got licensed at 19 where my network was not buying or selling anything. They were interested in cheap beer, chasing girls, and cheap rent. That was my network. So that wasn't an opportunity. So out of necessity, I had to learn to create my own business. And over time, the referrals began, the repeat clients began. But a lot of agents are taught from Jump Street, your network is your net worth. Pester the shit out of them and they'll help you with your business, essentially, whether it's them buying or they'll refer you. Hell, I've had people stop me in the grocery store with a name tag and say, "Hi, I'm so and so. Do you know anyone or are you personally thinking about buying or selling?" Which I respect the hustle. So I'm never a jerk to those people, but man, like there's a lot of weird advice out there. I think one of the pieces of weird advice is to lean on your network as the exclusive resource for growing and scaling your business. I think that's lame. I think that puts pressure on relationships that doesn't need to be there. And frankly, bigger picture than any of my preferences, it leaves your business very susceptible to ups and downs. You cannot control your network's behavior. Interest rates double. See 2022 from June to December, rates went from 3 to 6%, and everyone stops buying or selling in your little network. Your business goes to zero if that's your business. It's a bad business. So I'm going to give you some frameworks today. In fact, the topic is how to get listings without paying for them, at least in a traditional sense. Make no mistake, your network, your referrals, it's icing on the cake, but it shouldn't be the whole cake. And if it is, you have a very fickle business. I already know that about you. Unless you are so aggressive with your network, which doesn't fit my personality, frankly. And if it does for you, I respect it. I love Ninja. I used to do my Ninja 9. But at the end of the day, I had goals to make $500,000, and my network might have given me 100,000 of the goal. I was about $400,000 short every year from my network. And as my business grew, maybe that number went from 100,000 gross to maybe 200,000 gross, because it does become exponential, right? The longer you're in the business, the more contacts you have. But if your goals are beyond your network, you're stuck if that's your entire business. No wrong answers. It just depends on what you want. Let's get after it. How about that? Kelsey's going to monitor the chat, and I hope that I am not saying anything to be provocative. It's just the truth in my experience. It's the truth of my experience. My business, your business, should be a business that can grow in all conditions. It should be a business that can operate with or without people essentially gifting you their business, the real estate gods handing you opportunities. There has to be an element of control in your business. Otherwise, you don't have a business, you have a hustle. My wife gets paid every 2 weeks. She works for a big old company named Amazon. It's steady, not what I want to do. But how do you create that stability in your self-employed entrepreneur business? And if you can't, you just have a hustle. I'm not suggesting there aren't ups and downs to business cycles, because there are. But it shouldn't be that up and down every single year. Last thing I'll say is the top producers in your office, the people that have been in the business 25 plus years, they do have the ability to throw it in neutral, sustain, and not push year after year after year with lead generation, because their business is large enough that it's simply like an annuity. It just keeps paying over and over again. But if you're on the come up, if you're in your first 5 or 10 years in the business, you don't have that privilege unless you are going to settle for what the real estate gods give you. So you'll get there one day, but a lot of those playbooks around referrals and handwritten notes and all the gifting and all that stuff, leave that for the people that have been in the business 2 decades. If that's not you, you're running the wrong play, the right play in the wrong season of your business. And it's not to say you can't do it, but you got to do something else. And that's what we're going to discuss today. Sound fair?
Hey, Jonathan, Michelle said that her sphere is the main area where she's getting clients. Should she focus on different areas mainly?
Michelle, can I ask you a candid question? And are you willing to share?
Um, Yeah.
Hi, hello.
Let's do this in about 1 minute. How long have you been in the business?
I've been in about 5 years, going on 5 years.
What's your current income level?
About 75,000 a year.
What's your best year?
140.
Hello.
What's your goal?
I'd like to at least be 140 every year, but goal a lot more. But I don't expect that to happen, 1 year after another.
So you're at half the goal. most of the time. You've hit the goal once. What in your business is 100% sphere based?
Not 100%, but I'd say probably about 80.
You have a very common real estate business, and that's not to like be disrespectful in the least bit. It's just what I typically see. And what I would love for you to be able to say is this year I'm going to make $140,000 no matter what. Because I said so. And I have a plan that is diverse enough that I can make up the difference my network doesn't give me. So if 80% of 75,000 comes from your network, I'm going to call that 60 grand in GCIs coming this year because of your network. You're about 100, no, I mean, let's call it 80 grand short. If your average deal is worth 10,000, that's 8 transactions short. Where are they going to come from? If you don't figure that out, you're going to settle for those ups and downs. Some years it's this, some years it's that. And so there's nothing wrong with that type of business if that's what you're okay with. The people I coach with are not okay with that. They say, I want stability, I want predictability, I want to get paid for 12 to 24 deals a year at least. These are the kind of things that I hear. And for anyone that resonates with Michelle, that's what a sphere-based business will deliver. Some years it's going to crush it, and then you'll feel artificially great. You'll say, I'm so smart, I'm the best ever. Look at me, I made a ton of money. Just to find the next year you do half of that, same plan. My wish for all of us is that you get to have a little more control over what happens in your business than that. And Michelle, I think you're smart to lean into that $60,000, $70,000 a year annuity. That's your sphere of influence. I'm only simply saying that you're short by half of what you're saying you want. And if we don't figure out the other half, it's just going to keep being that way.
And I was thinking about starting to do videos, but then Monday you were kind of saying that wasn't, the right stuff to focus on. So double thinking that now.
I'll recap for anyone that's relating to Michelle right now. And I'm saying this out of pure love. There's nothing wrong with video at all. If you know the intention of what it's for, who it's for, and what you expect from it. Where most people do video, where most people do anything, it's throwing it against the wall. Maybe this time this thing will stick. This is an entrepreneur. Most businesses go out of business eventually doing a bunch of this. Their costs get too high, their return gets too low. The operator either burns out or runs out of money, or just feels like the juice ain't worth the squeeze. My 5 to 9 is not worth this bullshit money I'm making. I'll take a 9 to 5 for the same money. So I said there, 5 to 9. When you're an entrepreneur, you're working more than the average. You might want to see some above average returns. So video is awesome if you know why you're doing it, for who you're doing it for, and a plan around what it should produce, and you track the results of it. I just find a lot of agents that I got to do AI, I got to do video, I got to do website, I got to do this, I got to do that, have no idea what to expect from it, and will not stick with it because, like a goal anywhere, if we cannot define success, our brains are going to eventually fizzle out and say, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Why should I even keep doing this? And they quit. The old cheesy ass saying, with any why, you can do the how. But you got to know why. Otherwise, when the going gets tough, you're going to get going with it. And so what I see in a lot of my coaching business, one of the first things we do is we do a transaction audit for the last 24 months. And I talk to my clients and say, well, I see where your deals are coming from. Tell me what you do with your time and your money. And they lay it all out. For a lot of agents that are doing video, social media, 90-second reels, that type of thing. I mean, I've had clients as recent as December say they're spending a couple $1,000s a month to create that content and are spending hours a week doing it, which is like, let's say 10, 15% of their working hours a week doing it, plus the money, and have no idea why. They just want more people to see them. Well, guess what's going to happen 6 months from now? You're going to be a lot poorer, a lot more burnt out with no further transactions. And that's the commonality with a lot of marketing, a lot of branding. And so in this challenge, I've tried to challenge all of you to have a better understanding of where things are happening and also filter the new stuff through the lens of what outcomes am I going after here. So nothing's a bad idea if you can understand what it's for. You can have it all. You can't have it all at once. You got to be focused on what matters. Little sidetrack. I apologize, but I hope that resonates with someone and saves you from the mistakes that all of us tend to make. Lack of clarity will do it.
Jonathan, it sounds like you're really focusing or telling us we need to have intention. We really need to have intention and know why we're doing things. It is easy for all of us as squirrels to kind of try the new brightest toy that they've released, but you're right, that very many times we aren't intentional about it and don't think it through, other than pretty superficially.
It's exactly right. You know, the sad reality is most businesses don't have intention or clarity on anything. Most businesses, if you just chat GPT this, how many businesses succeed? How many businesses ever get above average? To recap day one, and I promise this is not all day here, the average agent makes what? You know that half the industry sold one or fewer houses last year? Now you could say, well, a lot of them have their license on referral stats. I'll give it to you. What percentage do you think make $200,000 a year? I'll give you a hint. It's about 10. 13 is the real number. That's inflated because there's like people making tens of millions and that pulls the number up. My point in making here is that most people never make more than $100,000 in this industry. And that's because they're stuck in that cycle of lack of clarity, just going back to what I know, going back to what's comfortable, going back to pestering my network. Like any advance they make to step out and take control of their business is met by the fog of, I don't know why I'm doing this. And when you're in that state, you're very susceptible to quitting. You're very susceptible to burning out. You're very susceptible to a lot of things that are not the plan. I do a lot of mindset training. This is not this today, but it's just how it works. But if you have clarity, when that crap shows up, you are clear on why you're doing it. And you don't just turn around and go back to what's comfortable when that adversity shows up. You stick with it. Without clarity, best of wishes to you. It's not going to work. So anyway, my hope is for all of you, at least have the conversation going as to why I'm doing this. The shoulds, the musts, the gottas, all that stuff is very secondary to what you should do and why you should do it and what outcomes are you shooting for. It just makes a world of difference. And it's one of the hardest things, which is why most don't go through it, but that's why most agents don't make their goals. And I know y'all are here to be smarter than the average.
Jonathan, do we have time for one more quick question?
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry, guys. And then we'll get into today.
Are co-listings a good idea for newer agents trying to get experience?
Hell yeah. So I wrote a book. This is not to sell books. Go on Amazon. It's $25. I make $7 when you buy it. This is not a money play, but there's 9 chapters to the new agent. One of the things I say is do rentals and co-list everything. The reason I say that is you don't have experience yet. And the value you get from having a front row ticket to doing it the right way is going to make you far more money than it is to make mistake after mistake, not knowing what you're doing yet, losing deals, losing clients, not converting, not closing. And so if experience is what you're lacking, trade your split. Like I'll partner with someone who has the experience, but you got to show me what you do. I got to be there. That's a fantastic way to ensure it goes to closing, but also learn things at an accelerated pace. My dad was a real estate broker. I'm not a silver spoon guy. I left working with him after 18 months. I couldn't stand working with him. Him and I are great friends, shit business partners. Like we would never survive, and that was clear. So I left, I did my own thing. But you know what? It was great. I had a front row ticket for about that 18 months to someone who's been in the business a long time. I went on dozens and dozens of listing appointments. Didn't talk. I was around a lot of negotiations and conversations. Because I knew what to do when I left and went out on my own, I converted and closed at a much higher rate because I had that exposure and experience. So if you're a new agent and you feel you're lacking there and you're screwing things up, that's one way to go for sure. Awesome. Love the engagement. We're going to leave a little time for Q&A at the end, but let's fly, guys. I know we want to get some listings, and the questions are, how do we do it? I mean, at this point, we've talked about clarity, conversations, and today's really about giving you guys leverage. I mean, leverage is where it's at. A lot of people, when they think lead generation, they think about paid marketing. There's something to it. I'm not throwing that to the side, but paid leads, they create a lot of activity where listings and getting those listings on your terms create authority. Said differently, if you've got lots of listings, people stop asking how long you've been in the business. They just say, you're the gal, you're the guy. It just gives you that credibility that buyers can't, that a lot of those other scenarios won't. And so if your goal is to create stability, I want to make $400,000 every year, which looks like I'm going to make about 50 grand, 40 grand, whatever the number. Yeah, about, let's say, whatever the number is. I can't do that head math. I apologize. I need 2 deals a month. Okay, cool. What does that look like? You're going to get that stability through finding ways to get more listings. Listings, they also give you visibility. They give you those inbound opportunities. Anyone here feel that they're chasing everything they get? They have to chase every opportunity that comes to the table. I certainly felt that way, chasing open house leads, chasing .com leads, chasing all types of stuff. When you have listings, you can create some inbound opportunities. You're not going to them, they're coming to you. And inbound, my friends, is how you get more for your time. You're spending less time chasing, more time doing, earning, scaling. And so I'm going to give you 3 different ways to do that. But first, we have to start with the framework that I think is a big problem for many people that start this process. Most agents, they lose listings because they compete either on price, meaning what they charge, or their personality. I'm not saying you don't have a great personality, but it's kind of hard to know what people like, isn't it? You could be great to some and awful to others. And when you compete on the basis of price, it's a shit way to go. It's so frustrating. Well, I have someone that can do it for this. Can you do it for that? Oh, it's also the race to the bottom. But here's the reality. In my experience, sellers, they don't want nice, great personality. They don't even want cheap, even if that's what they're saying. They really want are the 3: confidence, clarity, and a plan. There might be a percentage of your market that solely shops on the basis of what you charge. There's Redfin for that. There are discounters. You'll never beat them. But you're looking for the people that want results on their timeline and terms. And so if we can build our value around those things, it gets a lot easier. I'll tell you, this is a model I think a lot about, good, fast, cheap. It's just a little framework for people that are thinking about it. If you want the best price of something, you know it's not going to be the cheapest if it's fast. Right? Like you can't have all 3. You got to concede somewhere. And if we think about what most listing clients want, they may want cheap, they may want good, but it can't then have like timeline and terms attached to it. Something's got to give. Now, this is true for all products and businesses, but let's distill it into your real estate business and how you approach being more valuable. Because this is where you start to win. In coaching, we talk about attracting, converting, and closing. We got to do all 3. If we just do the lead gen, but we can't turn them into clients, and then once they're clients, we can't get them to the closing table, none of it matters. We're not paid by the hour. At least no one I know. So here's how we do it. If you're not clearly better, they're forced to shop for what's cheaper. This is not a pricing like what you charge problem in most cases. It's just a positioning problem for most. To be clear, there is no competitive advantage for charging an average fee and sounding like everyone else. What's left to our consumer, to the client we're trying to attract or convert and close, is to then reduce everything to an economic decision. So I was talking to a client of mine this morning. He's a great agent. He was like, I feel a little weird asking for 3. I know I'm going to have to end up at 2.5. The message here is, what competitive advantage do you go in saying, I charge it what everyone else does and I do a better job? It's kind of weak. You say, my value proposition is better, I charge this, and it sounds different than others. You actually have a competitive advantage because you can always drop fee once they see the value. But you can't go the other way around. And so step 1 for all of us is to make sure that we have thought through how to become more valuable and constantly think along those lines. If we don't, we're just stuck competing on the basis of what we charge. And there is always someone willing to do it for less. And at this point, there are very big players in most markets that run lots of ads that say they'll do it for 1%. Like see Redfin. They're on every bus stop in my city, or used to be. They ran a Super Bowl ad. You're not going to beat them. But you can beat them if you're better. So how do you do that? I'll give you just some quick frameworks to think around. Today's about teaching you how to think about your value. We don't have time to dig into the granular. I'd like to do some lead generation today. Here's a great model. What problems does your average listing client have? What solutions can you predetermine that meets the need? Every seller objection is really just like a request for leadership. What's your plan? They're asking, have you solved this before? Do you know how to solve this? And so it's really not about what you charge. It's what problem do you solve for your clients? And so here's a few things that come up a lot. What are the potential solutions? But if you're wondering, how do I come up with a more valuable listing presentation where I show my value and everyone's talking about their marketing and social media, it just starts to sound the same. Think in terms of what are the biggest concerns or problems your clients face and how could you solve them better than the average? Be creative, grab a whiteboard, just imagine. This right here is a framework that will make immediately what you do elevated if you take it seriously. The second way you can think of it is, what are the top complaints that people have about their brokerage, their broker? When polled, most people say they had a communication problem with their agent. They didn't have enough of it or the right amount of it. A lot of people say out of their listing agent, I got a sign, I got a lockbox, I got some open houses, I got some brochures. I didn't really feel like there was a push and a great marketing plan behind it. So anyway, these are some of the top complaints. Well, if you were to think about these, what are ways that you can not just deliver, but over deliver for your clients? And if you think about it, this is the framework of how you charge what you do and why you do it, and you'll convert more people. And so here's just an example of it. When there's poor communication, we know going in, they don't have to tell us that. They're worried. If they've worked with an agent before and you've asked, how was that experience? They say anything other than stellar. Just describe like what you do and how often you do it. I use three-phase marketing as an example. Call it what you want, but have a plan that sounds a little bit different, even if it's kind of the same stuff. It's the packaging. It's you have a plan and there is a roadmap towards their success. So these are all ways to think about becoming more valuable. I just like to think in terms of if we don't solve these challenges, the lead generation we do is going to fall a little bit flat. Anyone have any questions or thoughts before we go in, Kelsey? Did I miss anything in the chat?
No, we're all good in the chat.
Great. Now, here's the second part of this. Go in being more valuable. Don't try to compete on the basis of fee. But if you get an opportunity, make sure we create a second one out of it. I'm going to give you my favorite lead generation tactic I teach in my coaching practice. There's many more we don't have time for, but this is one that's available to anyone who has buyer or seller clients today. This plan is, how do you take one listing and create a second opportunity from it? We call it our listings to listings plan. The thing about listings, if anyone is new to, like if they work with buyers and you haven't had a chance to have many listings, listen up. When you take on listings, it creates a lot of opportunity because you have proof of concept and you have something to market yourself around. My thought is if one listing doesn't create another opportunity, it was truly underutilized. So this plan is about turning 1 into 2, 2 into 4, and so on. Now, when I work with coaching clients, we spend hours on these topics, and we've got about 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you some really great frameworks to think through that you can do this on your own. This works really well, by the way, because there are activities that are great for your clients, meaning what they would love for you to do to outreach and market their home could be the same thing that's great for marketing you and your business to potential neighbors. So there's a sweet spot of those two things coming together. Said differently, your client would love for you to dial all day long every single broker in your market and say, I have a new listing coming up on 445 Fox Street. We're listing for this price. They would love that. My question for you is, would calling every agent in your market make you any more money? Obviously not. Those agents are like, cool, I'll bring a client if I have one. Thanks for the call. Not. But there's other things that you can do to market the listing that are really good for also marketing your business to neighbors. And that's what we're after here. So if we want a simple plan, I'll give it to you. There's multiple steps that I can walk through in one-on-one capacities. But this we should do for any listing you take this year, and we'd like to create those inbound opportunities. These are people coming to you, you not having to go to them. Every listing you take, 3 pieces of mail: a just listed, a pending, and a closed. The closed becomes a letter. Call it a love letter to the neighborhood. Don't do any old open house. Do a better open house. And while you're at it, try to invite the neighbors. This is where the direct outreach plays a role. But if you think about each one of these activities, none of them are that incredible on their own. But when stacked together, you're making an impression on the people that you want, which are potential sellers that are watching how hard you're working for your client. These are also great tools to source a potential buyer who lives locally. And so, without a doubt, it's not one piece of mail, it's 3 pieces that make a difference. Here are some examples. The second part of this is with your direct mail, when it's pending and closed, rather than just saying, we did a great job, why can't we say, we now have a list of buyers actively looking for a home like yours in this neighborhood? Now, how can I say that? Did you do open houses? Did you get a bunch of sign-ins? You got a list. Do you have a list of agents and brokers who showed your property on showing time? You got a list. You did a lot to attract, unless you had one showing and one offer and one closing, you got a list. And so the call to action is, I did it for one of your neighbors recently. I can do it for you too. Clean, simple, straightforward, direct mail to the closest couple hundred neighbors. Just listed, pending, and closed. Obviously, we're saying this on the pending and closed side, but it's a very simple 3-piece messaging. I don't want to get you confused or in the weeds, but 3 pieces of mail is easy, right? The second part of it is, when you have an opportunity to do an open house, don't think of it as an event for buyers. They're coming anyway. Buyers are coming whether you do something or not. If they're interested, they're coming. Who are we really looking to attract? I look at it as seller events. When I have a listing and I'm doing an open house, I am only thinking about getting another seller client. So here's how you can run that. Ooh, how about this? A couple things you can do to take your average open house and make it slightly better. In coaching, we have a lot more creative ideas, but I just want to give you the sense of how to think about becoming more valuable and doing things at a higher level to create inbound. If you bring cookies and water to an open house and someone walks in, rather than asking those questions, where are you coming from? Please sign in, blah, 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 blah. You can say, welcome, can I grab you a cookie? Can I grab you a bottle of water? It's really hot outside. Your kids want anything? Oh, no, we're good, thanks. Awesome, well, come on in, have a look around. By the way, where are you coming from? It's a very different interaction. When you lightly cater something, I'm talking 10, 15, 20 bucks at the grocery store. I'm not asking for you to do a spread. It just gives you the authority to ask a question because you gave something first. These are all different ideas, but the one on the left-hand side about inviting the nosy neighbors, in addition to having a great event once they get there, is where this plan crushes. There are 2 ways to invite neighbors. You can print a flyer and hang them on doorknobs, put them in plastic bags. On Amazon, you could buy 3,000 bags for $30, and you can print these for free at the office, roll them up, stuff them in there, and just have an open house invitation. Maybe it's a neighbor-only preview an hour before the open house. Feel free to be creative. I like both. But at the end of the day, you can canvas those neighbors just by walking an hour or 2 on a Friday before the Sunday, inviting them to the open house. Or you can do what my clients do and join 2026 and use technology to help you do this a lot faster, further, without you sweating your ass off in the sun delivering flyers. That's my preference. You take a pick. This is inside Fox 360 and automation. To be clear, if you have any CRM, you can create automation. You can create emails. You can create text messages to send out to client or to the neighbors, inviting them to this event. The only pushback you're going to get is, where do I get their information? There are great resources to help you figure that out. If anyone's curious, Cole Realty, Express Docs, for $800 a year, you can buy a list and do unlimited pulls of data around your listings. Your title reps can usually provide that information. Your office may have a resource that can find that information. But to be clear, if you invite the neighbors and do a cool event and you do your couple pieces of mail, you're really engaging the neighborhood, and you're also making an impression on those who might be looking to sell. Man, that Kelsey, she's hustling for that client. She's inviting neighbors. She's got a big open house, bunch of signs. I'm getting mail. I mean, it starts to be a very visible thing. And at the core, what you're saying is, I'm sourcing local interest for a potential buyer. My company, we have a great global marketing plan. Everyone has one at this point. But what do? I try to source those people in the neighborhood that may have friends or family that want to live close to them. So I'm doing all this outreach and all this marketing to see if you have someone to bring to the table. That's the idea here. And if you do this, you never have to, I mean, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, you did a great job for my neighbor. We're considering selling. You mentioned you had a list of potential clients looking. Would love to chat. Just like we drew it up, 1 into 2, 2 into 4. The second part of this is, if you have buyer clients, you actually have an opportunity to do the same thing. And see, this is where a lot of my clients say, how can you turn a buyer into a listing leverage lead generation thing? Well, it's a pared down version of what we just talked about. Pending and closed. I sold, I brought the buyer. Look, buyers make the whole thing go. 2 pieces of mail. And then you have some options: phone call, text, or email with the same kind of message. Look, the message can be very simple, and I'll give you a few frameworks to think through. We have a list, we brought the buyer and sold your neighbor's house. We have other buyers looking. If the price and terms are right, have you considered selling now or in the future? Or I keep a private list of homeowners who might sell under the right circumstances. We just brought the buyer up the street. We have others looking regularly. Would you like me to add you? This can be a text. This can be an email. Hell, this could be a phone call. It could be on a piece of mail. But around your buyer deals, you're looking for that person who is considering moving that was impressed with what you did. If anyone thinks this doesn't work, I challenge you to try it a few times and send me a message on Instagram and say if it worked or not. Almost everyone who does some version of this plan finds success. The key is you got to do a couple things to layer it in. It's not a piece of mail should get you a bunch of leads, but 3 pieces of mail might, in addition to a cool event. You see what I mean? But it's a great way to also show your value to your seller clients and your buyer clients. And so you can pay for leads, or you can just use your current transactions to find those relevant people nearby that are considering making the move. Listings are always the goal, even if you have a buyer client. And so inside coaching, we have this pre-built inside Fox 360 for anyone that joins our program. We've had a couple people this week join. Welcome. I love it. But we've created all of these workflows and automations already. So all you got to do is put your name on it and hit go. You can do something similar in your own business as well. I wish I had the time to work with you to do it, but just know this plan is working. This is working hard. This is working well for some of my clients. But if we were to recap the 3 things here, we've got listings to listings, creating 1 into 2. We've got buyers to buyers, creating sales around your buyer deals. And also an enhanced open house, whether you have the listing or not, is something you can do and invite the neighbors, even if it's not your listing, lightly cater it and have a really high quality event that you get some of those conversations started and the follow-up begins. All of this is available, and these are 3 different ways with some connection points to create inbound opportunities, stuff you don't have to chase and find. So there's nothing wrong with paying for leads. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But this is the anti-hustle plan that works really well for your clients.
Jonathan, there's a couple messages in the chat. Do we have time for those, or do we want to wait until the end?
We got give me 2 minutes and we'll get right to it. To be clear, visibility, what's up?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Good. This plan works in a hard market. I'm not saying we're heading in for our 4th year of that, but if we are, this plan absolutely works. Because visibility, meaning being visible to neighbors around your recent sales, is tying into one of the most powerful marketing things you have in your business. I've done it for someone recently nearby you. I can do the same for you, whether you're on the buy side or the listing side. So visibility, it creates leverage. And that leverage is what we're talking about. This works in a hard market. I'll give you an example. Same winter market, same competition, the same rates. Some of my clients made different decisions. Here are 3 of them. Direct results from doing this plan in the last year. Georgia went from 2 listings in 24 to 9 in 2025. That's a 350% increase in listings. Nikki went from 1 to 6. It's a 500% increase. And Jay went from 0 to 5. It's complete transformation in her business. This is not my opinion. These are the exact systems my clients are using to grow their listings business without paying for leads, using their current transactions. I would say these results, it didn't happen because the market got easier. Obviously, it's because their approach changed. And so if you're chasing everything, try attracting some things using your current deals as the anchor. So this is how you engineer the leverage. And with that, Kelsey will drop a link in the chat. If anyone's curious about talking coaching, this is not a sales pitch. I just know there's some of you listening that are saying, shit, I need that. I need that help. I need that clarity. I'd love to chat. Got a couple spots left on my personal roster. She'll drop the link, but the floor is yours to ask any questions. So if we want to start with those couple, Kelsey, let's do it.
Yeah, so let me get that pulled back up here. One sec. So one was just a comment. Moira uses local bakeries and pizza places and tags them, and then they share on social media that there's an open house for her open houses.
I love that. A little joint marketing. Now, are you using the pizzas and stuff for your open house, like a little light catering?
Yes, yes. And I'll even wear an outfit. I'm on an island. I'm on a 5 Mile island. So I'll do some video right there at the house and have an outfit that I bought on the island. So then they share it. Also, there's an open house at 7701 Pleasure Avenue, so it's in any given open house, I have at least 2 or 3 other people sharing it. So it's not just my sphere, it's getting out to theirs also.
Well done. I love it.
Awesome. And then Jonathan Self says small personnel anxiety, but he waffles on the open house sign in. Um, and then he's just wondering how does everybody else deal with the sign in challenge, which I mean, I wasn't sure what you wanted, but I know we have something in coaching that we go
Yeah, it was
over.
on the slide. I didn't talk much about it, but here's 2 ideas for my friend. Number one, try giving something first. I think a lot of agents ask for the sign in a little too quickly, ask too many questions. You've got like one, maybe 2 questions they'll tolerate before they're just going to try to get away from you. And if you're saying, where are you coming from? Please sign in. Done. You've asked it. And most agents are asking 2 or 3 without even asking to sign in. And then it comes to that and they're like, no one's signing in. They don't hate you. They just want to get the hell away from you because that's humanity. So give the cookie, the bottle of water, at least have something to give. I have this free report. Would you like one? Print it out in your office, like anything to give. Oh, by the way, the seller's requesting everyone sign in. Would you mind when you're done touring, hitting this on the way out? Would love feedback. But the second thing is using a sign-in survey, making it more interactive. So what Kelsey was referring to, something that she actually spearheaded about a year ago and we've used quite a bit for our clients. Get a stack of clipboards, get a sign-in survey that's asking for feedback, but you're asking the lead, the buyer, to participate in providing feedback for the listing. And the sign-in rates on that, Kelsey, you say it. I mean, what's been the difference?
Yeah, I mean, so this is what I've used it multiple times myself, and you would be astounded how many people fill it out. I have people that say they're working with another agent, and I have them write that agent's name on, and they give me all of their information, everything. It's wild. So yeah, and I think it's just the fact that they can walk around and they don't feel the pressure. They can fill it out as needed with the clipboard. So I 10 out of 10 recommend that.
A stack of clipboards, something a little more interactive, and all the contact info is on there. Give something of value, see what happens.
And then we've got from, sorry, I'm gonna murder your name. Yemyi. She says, do you recommend networking with agents who have recently had activity within a subdivision when you take a new listing to better understand pricing strategy and current buyer demand? If so, do you ever reach out to the agents who recently sold or are pending nearby to ask for general neighborhood insights like buyer feedback, trends with common objections, without asking anything confidential? And then what questions do you ask and what topics do you avoid to stay compliant?
Yeah, a lot of good questions there. Bottom line, if you are competing for a listing and feel like you can't get it on your own, there's nothing wrong with partnering with someone who has a bigger track record than you to get get your foot in the door, co-listing it. I hate those Bravo shows. They do it all the time. And I think it's actually one of the real things they show. If this is your first time in an area or a price point, partner with someone who's been there, done that, 50-50 it, put your name on everything. They got the credibility, you get the deal, move on. If you already have it, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely collaborate with the local population as to how you can price it better. But secure the listing first. Secure first. Hey, I'm listing this house. Do you have a listing agreement yet? No, but I'd love to collaborate. Don't do that. That's bad news. But yeah, insights, anything you can get. I find this business is a little bit, I was a little naive about people's willingness to collaborate earlier in my career. The higher you go, the more you are trying things, the less help you get along the way. So best of luck. But if you need to partner with someone, I'm all for it.
Deborah says the buyer to buyer examples look like the seller conversations. Are you saying to reach out to the neighborhood where you just brought in a buyer with those same conversation examples? That is more like a buyer to seller activity, or did I misunderstand?
Yeah, I call it buyer to buyer because it's easier to mirror the listing to listing. But at the end of the day, we're looking for seller leads leveraging our buyer transactions. And the common pushback I get from clients who haven't tried this yet is, why would a seller care about my buyer deal? First of all, they're wrong, but I'll just cut to the chase. The reason is because you need a buyer to sell your property. If they feel your firm, you yourself, your team, whatever the thing you lead with has the goods, the buyers, and a beat on what's going on, they'll talk to you and raise their hand and say, because we're thinking about selling. You got any more of those buyers? Well, shit, let me check. But in the meantime, when are you looking to sell? You got a listing lead. And you're competing now on that basis, whether it's for your buyer or not. So it's a great mousetrap to create attraction positioning. And my guess is you're a great listing choice as well. So you're just in the game. We're looking for people that you don't have to chase, raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm going to be in the market. Using your recent buyer deals gets their attention and gets them asking you, you got any more of those? Especially if you position it of like, we're keeping a list of homeowners that would sell under the right conditions. You get a lot of people saying, yeah, it ain't gonna be this year, but next year it will be. Oh, interesting. I'll put you on the list. Put that in your CRM. Next spring, they're freaking moving. Guess what they're going to get? A follow-up campaign between now and then. It really works, guys. And the reason buyers to buyers, we came up with it personally as an agent doing this stuff, because I didn't have many listings. I was like, I want to try to leverage something. This is an iteration that became this plan for me personally. So if you don't have many listings, this is a way to steal a few.
Okay, then Francis says, can you share some insights around the framework of your coaching sessions with clients? Is it typically weekly, once a month, or something different altogether?
I would say altogether a little different. Most coaching is built around 30-minute sessions, once a week, once every other week. See Tom Ferry, biggest coach in the world. You want 2 sessions a month, 4 sessions a month. It's like seeing a therapist. We just give 5-day week unlimited access and support. Kelsey, myself, our team is there to help our clients implement, build. We really focus on implementation. Information is cool, but it's like sitting there taking notes like we're doing today. There's only so much we can do. We help our clients with information, but also implementation. We support at a higher level. We're a little bit different in pricing model, but we guarantee results. And that's why my clients, just to recap, I've got 3 people on this list here who, went from not listing much to changing their listings business. With that level of support, we're able to make these results possible. So yeah, I mean, if you want to have a sidebar conversation, I'd love to have it. But at the end of the day, we're not information based, we're execution implementation based. Any other questions?
Okay, and then we've got, yep, so more questions on the open house survey. So Veronica wonders if we can share some questions of like what are on the survey. And then one question if we ask them to carry around the clipboard. Not necessarily ask that, it's just welcome in, here's a clipboard, feel free to walk around the house, and you give one to everybody as far as that. But yeah, and then can we share examples of the
All right, I'm going to break my own rule. I said I wouldn't get too tactical. The problem is when you get caught in the weeds, sometimes people check out mentally, and I didn't want to overload y'all with information, but I'm going to cheat and give you an example of this survey because I think it's worth, showing some of you who are interested in doing this sort of thing. Kelsey, any other questions while I pull this up?
Yeah, so Nikki asks if you add them into the CRM, even if they are working with a realtor. That's where it gets a little, I do not personally, because I think that that's bad form, but I can't say what other people do.
Yeah, I liken it to guys. I want ready, willing, able leads, and if they're already married, I'm not trying to go on a date. Not your highest and best use of your time and follow up. So do what feels authentic, but I'm with Kelsey on that one. I've made a few mistakes that way too. Learn from them. That's where you get some agents pissed off. But here's what a survey would look like. There's different versions. This is a very vanilla ice cream version of one. Take a look. Take a picture if you want. What else we got? I got 3 minutes, so let's fire.
Now it's just, great idea. Linda says it's the high integrity approach. Totally agree.
Cool, guys. Any more questions? Because I mean, tomorrow is the bridge. Tomorrow, we're going to do a little more tactical stuff, but I'll show you how you can be consistent without just relying on motivation. If you notice a pattern, we started Monday with, we got to get clear. Tuesday, we got to do SMART, like the re-engagement framework, some systems behind it. Today was how do you create some attraction positioning so you don't have to run out and grab them. They start coming to you. AKA grow outside of your sphere of influence, past clients. There's about 6 other things we could do. We just have 45 minutes to an hour. These are some of my favorite, which is why we went here. Where tomorrow it kind of ties everything together. So yeah, I'm excited. We will be back after it, and I will send some recaps with some resources over the weekend. I said by Friday, it's going to be Sunday, and so we'll keep going.
One more. Do you have only one-to-ones or are there group options?
At this point, it's only one-to-one. It's where we can have the biggest impact. It's not that I don't love group. We have some small group stuff in our coaching business, but as the recipient of lots of it, I don't want to give you generic advice that I feel like won't impact you. I have to take your timeline, your goals, your skills, and help you build the plan. That's where real results come from, not just a cookie cutter, everyone should do it this way plan. So for our clients, we are in the weeds with them one-to-one. Down the road, that will change, but that's where we're getting the biggest impact. And I'm an impact guy, not a make more money guy.
May I ask a question? You had us do the 2 hours, 2 days a week, work the business. I was in one meeting and in the business was different than on the business. So in the business is working to get your CRM cleaned up, email cleaned up, all of that. On the business is actually reaching out, doing leads and stuff. Do you make a differentiation like that?
Yeah, so I challenge everyone to work in their business, meaning engage those leads, grow the business development twice a week. It's 4 total hours. It's 10% of your time on lead generation. Do I work on and in my business? You darn right I do. And you got to have diversity. A lot of agents love tinkering with on their business and they miss the end of the business and vice versa. So have both, but lead generation, make no mistake, 4 hours a week to grow your business is 10% of your time on probably the most important thing outside of just servicing your clients you could do. I want all of us to set aside at least 10% of our time to do it. And for those that struggle to just do it, time blocking is the way I do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sit in this room and we're doing only these things.
Because I find working on my business, I can get sidetracked and then I've got nothing done except busy work.
Yeah, I'm talking about lead generation when I say in the business stuff, not answering emails and
On the
things.
business, in the business, yeah.
Yeah. I dropped the link, by the way, if anyone wants that neighborhood data, it saves you $200 using my link. This is what I give my coaching clients, but it's through Express Docs, a huge company. These guys are the best in the business at providing data. Ask your title reps they might have stuff as well, but this is how you pay for it. You get unlimited polls and you can pull all that data we're just talking about. On that note, I got a meeting it started a minute ago, so let me be on time for that. I appreciate everyone's attentiveness. If you have any more questions, we're here again tomorrow, all right? It's a pleasure. See you soon.